Good morning, Laguna Woods. It's Friday, and have you recovered from watching those emotional videos, the testimony, the life story of Greg Outlaw? I know that it's affected me. It's affected me, and I've asked Pastor Jeff to come and join me, and just kind of we discuss it a
Kind
little
of
bit.
process it. Yeah,
Process. That's a
exactly.
great word, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I think the people have to be processing
yeah,
it,
yeah.
and
Encourage people to talk about
yeah.
it and share it with each other. And yeah,
It's a miraculous story, and I mean, yes, the forgiveness issues are huge. I don't know of any better stories than those, but I really wanted us to focus primarily on the healing that we saw in Greg's life. And that healing was both physical but also spiritually, because he was as low and he had already had a bad experience in the church. Uh, he had been molested at one point, and then his father has adultery in his
hmm
life. The church expels him. His experience with church wasn't that good, great,
yeah,
and yet the Lord makes him low enough, and he turns back through. By the way, I forgot that that was his brother-in-law
Oh, Corey, right? Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
he that came to his life, back into his life,
hmm
and forgave him for robbing him of about $8 million.
Yeah,
And then that immediately takes him to church, to Saddleback.
yeah.
He turns his life back over to Christ, and spiritually he is then healed. A little bit later, his amazing death uh, sentence from pancreatitis is literally healed in one night.
Just amazing. Just amazing.
He was a new creator.
Yeah,
So when we come to Christ, what's that? You have a verse for the day.
you got it. Okay, this is in 2 Corinthians, and it's verse 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has gone, the new has come.
And don't you think that's amazing that we see it in Greg's life?
Beautiful example.
You got to know, didn't you? You were camping one time or
Yeah,
something?
and some of you may know, Saddleback Church has a men's wilderness event, they call it. So once a year, we all go out to Sequoia Forest and camp. And I didn't know Greg before this event. This event I'm talking about is got to be 17, 18 years ago, though.
Okay.
But just happened to be camping right next to Greg, and we ended up meeting. I was with my men's group, and he was with another men's group, and so we just ended up sharing a campfire. And over a campfire one night, he shared that testimony, and like, oh my goodness,
Just off the cuff, so to
yeah,
speak.
he just said he said he wanted to share this with us, and we're so grateful that he did.
Well, years ago, I also got to meet Greg and hear his story, and eventually I ended up working with him in his ministry up in Colorado Springs for about a year and a half. And I want to get into that a little bit, but I just wanted to give a little bit more detail on that night of healing. And the fact is that for over a year, Greg every night could not get up in the morning without putting liquid
Is it morphine, wasn't it?
morphine,
Morphine, yeah.
liquid morphine on his tongue,
hmm
so that his pain could go down enough that he could the morphine pills could kick in to relieve his
hmm
pain. And then once he was able to do that, so he spent over a year every day, all he did, which he doesn't go into in the video, but he went into his backyard and read the Bible and prayed every day. And you know what happened to him even on that? His walk with Christ is as close as anybody I have ever met. He listens and knows what the Lord is thinking and doing. More, his relationship is so close. Jeff, I tell you, I learned a lot from Greg, but that alone, time spent with Christ, has changed his life.
Yeah, what a great testimony.
And so now a year goes by, maybe a little bit more. I think he said a year and a half on his video. And he still had the ownership of a business, and they had got an offer for around $20 million for the thing. And he had to make a tough decision because he knew the guy that was making the offer, and he is not a godly person. And he said, I just can't sell my company to someone like that. That wouldn't be honoring of God. And so right then, he makes a decision. He doesn't sell. And it's that very night that he's healed. And he wakes up in the morning and he says, there's no pain. It was a one night on the day that he made the decision. The godly decision to not sell his company.
Wow.
And then he told the rest of the story how his doctor couldn't even believe it and tried to explain it. And other groups like Campus Crusade have documented it, went and took a film crew to the doctor and that he was a dead man. And overnight he was healed.
Wow.
So God can heal.
Absolutely.
I was so touched by that. But the story, as you know, the ministry that he went on to found is all about God.
Yeah.
So if you can go on your website, allaboutgod.com. He was sitting in a Saddleback church service, and Pastor Rick said, you need to use the gifts that you're good at. And we call that a shape. And he said, well, I'm good at getting internet placement. That's what our company was about.
Yeah.
Search engine placement.
Right.
And so he decided, what if people would search the internet for questions and they found Christian answers? He went on to drop everything, move to Colorado Springs, have no fear left anymore because God will provide, because he's seen God heal his life. And now through that ministry and they have numerous websites. And if you go out and you search for a question, odds are one of the answers will come from allaboutgod.com, or you can go directly to the site. Here's the amazing end of the story, though. Through those websites, there have been, and this boggles the mind, but 288 million times they have shared the gospel with people in every country of the world, and over 2 million people have placed their faith in Christ.
Oh, that's wonderful.
2
Praise
million.
God. That's great. Wow.
Most evangelists never even speak to that many people in the course of their lifetime, but the internet touches so many billions of people that you get statistics like this.
It is so wonderful that God has him doing this because, as you know, the internet is a tool, and there's good information and there's bad information. So it's wonderful that there is a team like Greg's that's doing things to get God's truth out, as opposed to some of these other lies that we may end up finding in a search engine somewhere in there.
It's so true.
Yeah.
That was one of his things, that the internet should be God's tool, not just evil.
Right.
Or Satan's tool.
Yeah.
And that's what he has made. And so you'll find Christian answers to life's tough questions, both in video form now and in many languages. When I worked with him, believe it or not, my role was to get the many of the pages translated into Chinese, because there's so many billion Chinese.
Makes complete sense.
So that was, and that's been carried on to this day. And I consider that year, a little over a year I spent with he and his wife Candy. Candy was healed of her drug abuse and so on also.
Yeah.
Friends, I hope this has been an inspiring week for you. You've got a new tool in allaboutgod.com, and you have an inspirational story that I know has been a blessing to you. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.